In this final video in the percentage activity, we're going to practice solving for the whole quantity when using the proportion method to solve percentage problems. So for these last two problems, let's look at the scenario. On Saturdays and Sundays, talented artist Valentina draws portraits of tourists. To get the most business, she works at the Santa Monica Pier in the mornings and moves to Venice Beach in the afternoons where more and more people show up. She charges $15 for each drawing. All right, so imagine. Valentina, she's an artist. She draws portraits of tourists and she charges $15 for each drawing. That's probably going to be important, $15. Please answer the questions using the proportion method. All right, let's jump to the questions. Here's the first question. I want you to pause the video, think about the question, and solve it on your own, answering the question, how much did Valentina make at both locations on Saturday? And we'll come back and check it together. Okay, welcome back. For question one, we're talking about Valentina, the talented artist who paints portraits or draws portraits. And in this question, it says that on Saturday, Valentina did 70%. She did 70% of all her business in the afternoon at Venice Beach. While there, she made $105. $105. How much did Valentina make at both locations on Saturday? How much did she make at both locations? So that would be at Venice Beach and also in the morning at Santa Monica Pier. All right, so we need then to plug in the 70 over 100 because whatever number is with the percentage always goes over 100. So we know that. So let's plug in the 70. And we know that she made $105, which is only a part of what she made during the whole day. The 105 is a part just like the 70 is a part. 105 is part of the quantity, as 70 is part of the entire percent number, okay? So our unknown is here, W. We'll call it W for the word whole, W-H-O-L-E. And then we're going to move forward and solve this. So let's go ahead and draw our butterfly. As rough as it looks, that's a ragged looking butterfly. All right, 70 times W, or W times 70, is 70 W, or 70 W's, I like to think of it. It's 70 of those things, whatever the value is. And then we need to take 105 and multiply it by 100. Now that's going to be a big number, isn't it? It's going to be a big number. 105 times 1 is just 105. So we're just going to add 2 zeros to 105. So let's see, 105, and then add 2 zeros. So it must be 10,500. 10,500. Now, I've got to divide to get the W on its own, right? I have to isolate the W, isolate the variable. So I'm going to divide by 70, which gives me 1W, or just W. But I have to do the same thing to this side. I've got to divide 10,500 by 70 as well to find out what my number is here. Well, that's a pretty big number. So why don't we do some long division there, okay? Why don't we take 70, draw a long division bracket. All right, 70 doesn't go into 1, it doesn't go into 10, but it does go into 105, and it goes into 105 one time, okay? 1 times 70 is 70, 105 minus 70 is 35, 5 minus 0 is 5, 10 minus 7 is 3. So that's 35. 70 does not go into 35, so we're going to bring one of our zeros down. 70, does it go into 350? It does, and in fact, it goes in exactly 5 times, because 7 goes into 35 5 times. That means that 70 goes into 350 5 times. So let's put our 5 up here. 5 times 70 is 350. Sorry about my printing. Now we're not done because we have another 0 here. Look, we accounted for this 0 right here. We brought that one down. But we also have to bring this one down. We have to account for it. So don't stop. 70 doesn't go in. So it's really just 0. We're just carrying that 0 over. So W then equals 150. 150. How much did Valentina make at both locations on Saturday? And you can write, she made $150. And if you wanted to, you could write at both locations. That would be nice, at both locations, to make it super complete. But she made $150 would be enough. So what that means is that $105 is 70% of $150. Okay, 150 is the whole, 105 is the 70%. It's the part. All right, let's move on to the next question. The next one talks about the next day for Valentina. And it says, Sunday was an unusual day for Valentina's business. Now, don't forget that she charges $15 per portrait. So I want you to pause the video, look at this one, see if you can figure it out on your own, and then I'll be back when you start the video again to solve it with you. Go ahead. All right, so let's read the question. It says, Sunday was an unusual day for Valentina's business. The Santa Monica Pier had a morning performance by local musicians and was more crowded, much more crowded than normal. Valentina drew 13 portraits in the morning before going to Venice Beach. If that amount was 65% of the day's drawings sold, how many did she draw at Venice Beach? All right, so let's take a look here. We learned that she drew 13 portraits at Santa Monica Pier. So that's the part, right? That's part of what she drew. So let's say 13. And we know that that amount was 65% of the total drawings that she drew for the day. So we now can find the whole, but we're not actually looking for the whole, are we? The question is, how many did she draw at Venice Beach? So we're going to have to find the whole, and then we're going to have to do another calculation in order to figure out how many she drew at Venice Beach. So let's go ahead and put in W again. That'll be our variable. And let's draw our butterfly. Eventually I'll get good at drawing butterflies on the computer. There's our butterfly. All right, so W times 65 is 65W. Make a new equation here. 13 times 100 is just what it sounds like, 13 hundreds, or 1300. That's 1,300, okay? Now, we've got to do some division here to get our W, our variable, isolated. So 65 times W, we can use inverse operation, divide by 65 to get the W by itself. There are 65 W's, and I divide by 65, it will leave just one W. That's what we have right here. Now I need to do the same thing over here to the 1300. Right? 1,300. Now that's a big number again, and that might intimidate you. So just do a little bit of long division. 65 into 1300, or you could say 65 or 1300 divided by 1300 divided by 65, excuse me. Now 65 doesn't go into 1 and it doesn't go into 3. But it does go into 130, and with a little bit of trial and error, Or maybe you just see it. You can see that 2 times 65 is 130. So 65 goes into 130 twice. 2 times 65 is 130. That nicely zeroes that out. But we're not done. We still have another 0. Do not forget about bringing those zeros down. 65 does not go into 0 at all, okay? So 20. W equals 20. 20 is the total number of drawings that Valentina drew and sold during the course of the day at both Santa Monica Pier and at Venice Beach. But that's not what the question's asking. The question is asking, how many did she draw at Venice Beach? Well, we know that she drew 13 in the morning at Santa Monica Pier. So if we know that, then we can say the total is 20, and if we subtract the number that she drew at Santa Monica Pier, cross that out, bring this over, it gives us 7. Okay, how many did she draw? And we can write she drew 7 at Venice Beach. Okay, so the answer is 7. All right, well, I think that's it for percentages, showing you how to solve percent problems using the proportion method. I hope it was useful, and we'll see you for the next lessons shortly. Bye-bye.